Just in the last few days, New York, which obviously like many parts of the US has a big homelessness problem, had a community meeting about the establishment of an upcoming homeless shelter, and it didn't go in the direction we might wish.
I do not care about homeless. I feel sorry, but I don't want them in my backyard. They are taking bomb. They are taking bomb.
Hey.
I don't want to feel threatened every night I come home. My little granddaughter goes to school right next to it. I'm not happy. I'm extremely unhappy. I hope somebody's gonna burn the place down. If that's gonna happen, I don't care.
So there, obviously a fired up community member saying that she hopes that the homeless shelter, when it's set up, will be burned to the ground. Now, for context, understand that this hearing came just days after 4 homeless men were bludgeoned to death in Chinatown. This is just last weekend. So we know that homeless individuals across the country are already targeted for violence and murder. It is an epidemic that rarely gets talked about. And so to have at this hearing, someone get cheers when she says that someone should burn down this structure, theoretically with people inside of it. That's pretty dark.
This hearing it went that way for the whole time. They even had to stop it after just over an hour into because so many angry people were so upset about this potential homeless shelter being built in their community. Now I understand your concerns, whatever's going on. I'm on that Nextdoor app. Everyone in certain communities knows this, and this kind of anger happens everywhere because there's tents are popping up all over the place under overpasses and on community streets, things like that. And people are getting upset, and they always post about this on those. And then these arguments happen, and people would say the same thing that lady was saying: "Get them out of my community. They're breaking into my house. They're doing this. They're doing that." And someone says, "You know, statistically, they're being murdered at a higher rate than anyone else." And a lot of times, whenever these crimes happen, it's not always just because they're out there to get you, because there's nowhere else for them to go. Whatever addiction issues happen, whatever mental health issues are happening with them, and we're just thinking, send them off. Send them off where? And by
Anywhere.
What authority?
Not in my backyard.
Yeah, that sidewalk on that main street is not your property. So I get that it's an eyesore. I get that you don't like having to walk past people. I get you don't like watching people at freeway exits asking for money. Chill out. Yeah. Is the bottom line. So seems like it was a New York issue, but it's a nationwide issue. But no one wants to see the source of the problem. They just want to push it to the next person.
Yeah, and like so, de Blasio says that he wants to set up 90 new homeless shelters and expand 30. They're building, so they do have to be somewhere. And the idea is that, obviously this is going to help people. That is often ignored in this sort of thing, that these are people who have had, medical bankruptcies or whatever. Something terrible has happened to them. Nobody's choosing to do this. So it will greatly benefit them, but also help to solve the problem that everybody thinks is a problem. But again, nobody wants to be solved in a way that they still have to see. So they don't want to see the tents, but they're also not willing to have a building to not see the tents. It has to go somewhere.
They're also not willing to have any of the community money go to making sure that they're not in the situations that end up putting them on the streets either.
Exactly.
Like, if your money's gonna go to any kind of things to help them from getting there, you're not doing that with my money. Yeah, they're gonna end up right there.
And by the way, in this particular structure, not that it matters because it doesn't matter. To qualify to stay there, you have to qualify by having a job. These are people who are working, but still currently living on the streets that want to go. These are people who are trying to put their lives back together and unfortunately getting pushed out. And so, big problem in LA too. God knows what's gonna happen when we start having our community meetings. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.